What is happening, guys? This is Saddam Hassan with AMZOneStep.com bringing you yet another video. In this video, we're going to be telling you exactly how much money you need to successfully launch your first FBA product. Now, I say successfully because a lot of the Amazon courses, videos, and articles leave out important costs that are related to listing optimization and marketing, which determine whether our product is going to rank or not. Guys, my intention is not to give you a small unrealistic figure and motivate you to dive into a business without knowing the associated risks. Remember, a good product with a bad listing will not sell, whereas a bad product with a good listing will still sell. Also, a lot of you may already know the associated costs, so we're going to go a step further and share with you the widely used and known services and tools to get you started with your first FBA product launch. There is a link to our blog on budgeting in the description below. It has all the services and tools required for a successful product launch. Make sure you bookmark it and use it as a reference guide. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the slides. The first phase is product research. If you have some unique ideas, great, you may choose to discover products on your own. However, you still need a tool to gauge the market sales and competition of a product. There are two leading tools in the market. One is Jungle Scout and the other is Viral Launch. If you have product ideas already, both tools have Chrome extensions that will provide the analysis. On the contrary, if you want the tool to generate ideas for you on your behalf, you can also subscribe for the web app for either one of those. These both tools are very powerful. Our blog has a cost comparison for the two if you'd like to check it out. One aspect of Viral Launch I really like is that you can run searches on keywords instead of just products, and each keyword is a market instead of a product individual. Now let's move on to the next one. Let's say you've blocked your product. So the next step is to source a manufacturer. Because this will be a manufacturer you've never dealt with, it is absolutely necessary to get a sample to check for quality and ensure it meets your specifications. Guys, it is a small price to pay for committing to such a huge order. Ideally, you should get a sample before proceeding with the order to fine-tune the product to your specifications and address any quality concerns. And then a second sample can be ordered once the shipment is ready, and that is crucial if you're sending the shipment directly to Amazon. Verify your product's content, logo, and packaging because that is what your customers will be buying. Also, you can use the same sample for photography since you'd want your listing complete before Amazon receives your inventory. The sample cost will vary depending on the supplier and the product. It costs around $40 to $50 per sample if you airship it, and some suppliers will give you a credit on your first order to make the sample free of cost. I usually order 2 to 3 suppliers' samples and even order my competitor's product to gauge and really understand the product's target audience. Okay, so the initial sample looks good. Now comes the product development phase. So how much should you pay for the actual order? Well, first off, it is tied to the price on Amazon. The product cost or landing cost from the supplier should be between 20 to 40% of the selling price. What that means is, if your product is selling for $10, you should negotiate with the supplier to buy at $2 to $4. If it is selling at $20, pay $4 to $8, not more than that. Most suppliers will agree to a minimum order quantity of 250 units. You guys can do the math based on that, and your budget should be a figure between $500 to $2,000. Usually the biggest platform for new sellers to source a product is Alibaba. It has the biggest database of suppliers from China and other countries, and their trade assurance option protects your payment in case of fraud. Let's say if you'd like to have one done professionally, a logo will cost around $5 to $15. Label design, on the other hand, will be a bit more expensive ordeal, costing from $100 to $1,000 even. You can check out Upwork or 99 Designs to hire designers for these specific services, and it is recommended if you want to build a brand name in the long term and potentially sell outside of Amazon. The next on our list is shipping costs. This will be about $200 to $1,500. Now that is a big range and it is because it's solely dependent on the shipping term, the weight and size, and because of all these variables it fluctuates. The heavier the product, the higher the shipment cost. On average you're looking at $4 to $6 per kg for air shipping and $2 to $3 per kg for sea shipping door to door, which includes custom clearance and shipment from the ports. One tip I'd like to give you guys is to go through a shipping company instead of asking your supplier to ship it out, because they usually mark up the prices. The next cost is optional. You can either inspect the products yourself or hire an inspection agency to do that on your behalf. And many sellers end up having high returns and bad ratings from customers, which result in the discontinuation of the product. So that is why we recommend it. There is a company called VTrust that provides cheap rates for their Chinese inspectors. They have offices in the States as well, making them easier to work with. And then Alibaba also has third-party inspectors listed on their website. And if you want to go through a professional inspection, that will cost between $150 to $500. Okay guys, if you've made it this far, give yourself a pat on the back. Now comes product launch phase. So the very first step in this is to create your listing. You need a UPC code for your product, so get one from Speedy Barcodes or Nationwide Barcode for only $5. If you have variations in your product, you may need to purchase more. The next on the list is photography. Guys, do not compromise on this. The first thing a customer sees is the pictures, and they take very little time to make a decision. So there are many freelancers out there that charge between $30 to $80 a picture or a photo. You should get about 8 to 10 photos and select the best 7 for your listing. Now comes the tricky part, listing optimization. That covers your title, product bullet points, description, and photography. This is one area people overlook, and they learn the hard way when their sales are not there, when they're not able to generate sufficient sales to rank their product. Now you can do this all by yourself, but I would highly recommend you go through professionals to enhance your brand content. The more visible your product, the more sales it will get you. Listing optimization is a broad topic, so we will not be touching on it in detail in this video. We will, however, be doing a separate video very soon, so make sure you subscribe to this channel. So moving on, once your listing is active on Amazon, you will need to market it, and that's where your product launch costs come in. There are a few methods to do the product launch, like giveaways or offsite advertising, but the dynamics are changing on Amazon, so we will stick with their own pay-per-click ad technique. You can choose to run the campaign for 7 to 10 days. However, my suggestion is at least to run the campaign until your first shipment runs out, and that can take up to $500. So make sure you have a daily budget set for at least 10 days, ranging to 2 to 3 months. The next cost will be from Amazon. So Amazon also charges you some fees. You would have to register on Amazon as a professional to run these campaigns, plus a lot of other features will be added when you switch from an individual account to a professional one. This will cost about $40 a month on Amazon.com, and the cost may vary depending on which country you're registering to. Also, Amazon takes away 15 to 30% from each sale as FBA fees. Don't worry about that too much right now when you're figuring out your initial budget, as this won't come out of your pockets up front. Okay guys, now we're going to share some tips with you on the next slide. So tip number 1, use monthly trials or product coupon codes. There's plenty available on the internet, so before you register for any tool, make sure you search for that and get a discount on the product. Tip number 2 would be to negotiate with suppliers and find freight forwarders. A lot of the people take the price as is for the product. Make sure you negotiate, because there is a huge margin for them to bring it up or down. And the freight forwarders, if you can find one, it is a tedious process, but it's going to pay off in the long run. Tip number 3 would be to hire a professional for listing optimization and photography. Guys, I've stressed on this before. photography is something that's gonna add appeal to your listing, and that's what customers base their buying decisions on. And the listing optimization is also important because that is what ranks your product, and it has to show up on the first few pages for customers to find it. Tip number 4 is try to rank with PPC instead of giveaways. I know a lot of sellers on Amazon previously used giveaways as an effective method, but Amazon has changed their regulations in the past, and it is much better if you run PPC instead of allocating that cost to giveaways, because half of the time if you end up doing it for reviews, some of them are being taken off. They're really stringent on it. So PPC is a way better method than giveaways for the time being. And that is where tip number 5 comes in. Optimize your PPC campaign. If you don't know how to do that, make sure you run an auto campaign for the first week or two, and then you can switch it to manual, adding in your own keywords. And then tip number 6 is an obvious one. Think long-term success and invest in your product. I know a lot of these costs are going to add up to your budget and it'll take away from your profits, but let me assure you, most of these are one-time costs. So once your product is established in the market, they will pay off in the long run, and after that it is smooth sailing. And that covers all the costs. So now there won't be any surprises for you when you're launching your next product. Adding all these costs together, you're looking at $1,500 to $2,000 in budget if you want to start with a small budget and launch your product. And if you'd like to outsource a lot of these services and launch a quality product with set standards, it will be on the higher side, approximately costing $7,000. And now there are a few hidden costs to consider as well, like transaction fees, currency conversion fees, the registration of the business, and then some basic supplies to get you started. But they're all a small percentage of your overall budget, and there are ways to forego or minimize these costs. Again, some of the costs like label design and inspection may not even be needed at this point, so you have enough room to cut some of these costs. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely share your thoughts in the comment section below, and make sure you subscribe to our channel on YouTube and Facebook. If you want to get a professional consultation, we have a team of dedicated experts that are willing to help new sellers establish their products. So make sure you go to our website amzonestep.com and reach out to them with any questions you might have. Link in the description below, and I will see you guys soon.